My general message to this caravan is do not come. You will not be allowed in. There is a right way to emigrate to the United States, and this is not it.
That's Homeland Security Secretary Kirstjen Nielsen. A stark warning for the thousands of immigrants, the migrants seeking passage into the U.S. They are on the move, that caravan through Mexico. Despite that, migrants from across Central America remain committed to their long journey, even as the military begins shifting assets toward the southern border. Want to bring in our headliner, Thomas Homan, acting director at ICE and a Fox News contributor. Sir, how are you on a Monday? And good morning to you. Give us a sense of what 800 members of the U.S. military could do on the border, sir.
Well, I think they're going to handle logistics for the Border Patrol. They're going to monitor central traffic, intelligence. They're going to be moving food, water, supplies for the Border Patrol. And what that does is that releases the Border Patrol agents who are currently doing those types of jobs to be on the front line as law enforcement officers defending their nation. So I think it's a good move. I also think you can see a lot more DOD assets deployed. I would think the president would send up to 5,000 troops down there, and we'll see what happens. But the border, having the military on the border is a great idea.
Do you think, based on what you're seeing, move in that direction? When you look at the video of this migrant caravan, do you think that many, as much as 5,000, could eventually be necessary?
I think so, and we'll see. Of course, it's not my decision. But look, this invasion of our sovereignty is we got to stop it, because if we get to the point we did the last time and they actually get to the United States and they make their fraudulent claims to asylum and get released, so we're back to catch and release. If this group is put in the same position to catch and release, then this is going to be an ongoing situation constantly, because other folks in Central America are going to say, hey, get to the United States. We're not going to be detained very long, and many of them won't show up in court. And most of them, 80% of them, will lose their case. Even though they've been ordered by the immigration judge to leave because you lost your case, they won't leave. So why would they stop coming if there's no consequence to deterrence to this illegal activity?
Let's go back to Kirstjen Nielsen one more time with more from Chris Wallace on Fox News Sunday.
If you seek asylum, do so in the first safe country. Mexico has offered you refuge. If you want a job, that is not asylum. If you want to be reunited with your family, that is not asylum. If you want to just come live in the United States, that is not asylum. There are legal ways to do that.
So this administration is intent on putting out that message. You will not be allowed in. That does not deter these caravans. Why not?
Because, look, first of all, Secretary Nielsen is exactly right on her point. Look, all you got to do is look at this population, and the Secretary's right. If they're really escaping fear and persecution, look, asylum is about escaping fear and persecution because of race, religion, or your political positions. But these people are clearly coming here for a job and to rejoin people in the United States illegally. That is an asylum. But if they're really escaping fear and persecution or really are asylees, they turned down Mexico's offer to claim asylum in Mexico. They're already 2 countries away from that supposed danger. So by them turning down the country of Mexico, it clearly shows this isn't about escaping fear of persecution. This is about getting to the United States. So I applaud Secretary Nielsen what she says, but the reason this caravans keep them coming, because it's about getting to the United States. It's about getting a job and getting back with, getting with people who are here, part of their families in this country illegally already. This isn't about fear and persecution. This isn't about asylum. This is about getting to the United States.
Tom, you really get a sense of the frustration, well, in the conversation that's happening across the country on this issue, but when it comes to the White House and President Trump, our own John Roberts, chief White House correspondent, just letting us know that the White House officials, they continue to discuss possible executive or regulatory action when it comes to preventing this caravan from crossing the border. This meeting's happening at the White House this morning. He concludes his reporting here by saying he's not sure whether the White House is not sure whether to do this through an executive order or interim regulation. But officials say the president is not happy with where we are on immigration. Obviously so. But you more so than ever get that sense of just how frustrating this process is and has been.
Well, it's got to be frustrating for the president. Look, I've said many times before, I've done this job for 34 years up till I retired in June. I started as a Border Patrol agent on the front line. I've investigated organizations that smuggle people for 20 years. I'm the first ICE director to come up through the ranks. I mean, I've met with the president many times. I've talked to him many times. He gets it. We have a president, and you know, people ought to be thankful that Donald Trump is the president during these times, especially when our sovereignty in this country is under attack. He wants to do everything he can legally just to control our border, to protect America. And he's working with people like Jeff Sessions and Secretary Nielsen are going to think out of the box, do everything they can legally to control the situation. But I guarantee you this, within 48 hours of him signing an executive order or him making the decision, he will be sued by the left. There'll be some liberal judge who's going to file a temporary restraining order. It happens again and again and again. This president has not only talked the talk, he's walked the walk. He's done everything within his power to secure this border. Congress has failed him. Congress has failed the American people. This president will not fail the American people, who do everything he can to protect our nation.
Sir, thank you for your time. Thomas Homan with us today. By the way, the Caravan's 500 miles south of Mexico City, about 1,000 miles south of our border. They've got a ways to go, and time will tell what happens next. Sir, thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Tom.